Testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing. All right, so it is affecting my voice, I think.
Hello, Nikolai.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Just wanted to make sure.
Can you see me and hear me?
Yeah. Want me to turn my camera on, or are you fine?
No, you're fine. I'm just jumping on here to make sure that I am all set and we're ready to go. I'm gonna
Yeah, I always try to be early. It's just
Yeah.
a philosophy I have in life.
Mm-hmm. It automatically records when we
Yes, I
when
noticed
have
a
people
little.
jump in. Yeah, it's just because we have folks who do webinars for us that don't work in the office with us, and it costs
That's
extra
where,
counts. So we just have them automatically so we can transcribe it. Let me go ahead and log in as the administrator, and then I can pause the recording.
no problem.
Yeah, because otherwise we just end up with like a 40-minute delay before the actual video starts, and I have to go in and edit.
That's a fair point.
Mm-hmm. There we go. Pause record. So welcome everybody to this second iteration of our 3-part series in WordPress webinars. This is a webinar on Meet Gutenberg, the CMS and block editor for WordPress. We have Krystal Knapp of Planet Princeton here, who's going to introduce herself, tell you a little bit about her to start. If you would like to see the recording and transcript from the first session of this or getting started webinar, you can check the chat, which has links to all of the various outlets there where you can view, watch, and listen. My name is Joe Amvitas. I'm Associate Director of the Center for Cooperative Media. We are an initiative at the School of Communication and Media at Montclair State University in New Jersey. And our job is to help grow, strengthen, and support local news in the state and beyond. And Krystal and Planet Princeton are one of our partners, and they have graciously agreed to give this series of webinars. And one note, too, for those of you who were on the first one, if you attend this one and the third one, Krystal has generously offered a free 30-minute consultation on the subject of your choice, preferably related to WordPress, afterwards. So make sure to follow up about that. The next and final webinar in this series will take place on the date that will come up when this page loads. It is going to be at 1 p.m. on September 10th, and that's going to be about choosing plugins. So check centerforcooperativemedia.org/training for our full event schedule, and you can find out more information about how to register on that page. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and mute everyone. If you would like to ask a question or make a comment, the chat function, if you hover your mouse over your window, you should see the chat button at the middle bottom of the screen. Go ahead and type a chat there, and I will read it out to Krystal when she gets to a natural pause. So with that, I will mute you all, and yes, mute you all, and Krystal, you can take it away.
Okay, great. Thanks, Joe. Just a little bit more about me. So I started Planet Princeton in 2011. I run a sister site called Planet Trenton as well. And I was really frustrated using WordPress when I first started out. I hired a developer, but then I got frustrated with that, and I just wanted more control. And I felt like I needed to learn more as a solopreneur to manage my own website. And there's a huge community. WordPress is great. So many people are willing to offer free help and advice at WordCamps and meetups. And now I develop sites for other people. And I'm working on a project with the Reynolds Journalism Institute, helping publishers use push notifications and progressive web apps to engage more readers. So I'm going to do slide share now, Joe.
All right, we'll let you know if it works. Go ahead.
Okay. Just a second. Right here.
You having issues?
No, it's okay. Just a second here.
Okay.
Share screen. Okay, can everyone see that? Hello?
Can't see it yet, so
Can't see it yet?
Yep, let's just make sure that we got you here. We're gonna make you. I wish we could make you. Are you signed in at all, Krystal? I want to make you a co-host, but
Oh, you didn't make me a co-host, I think. Does that?
let's see here.
Wait, let's see.
Who can share all There we go. Now we're
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sorry about that.
Now we can see you.
Okay. Okay, there's my contact info. I'm always happy to answer questions by email. I really care about supporting other local publishers, and I believe all boats rise when we help each other. So feel free to always reach out to me via email or send me a message on Twitter. So what is WordPress Gutenberg? Whoops, wait, why is it advancing? Sorry, it's supposed to, okay. What is WordPress Gutenberg? Gutenberg is the name of the new editor in WordPress 5.0. It was released in December of 2018. It was delayed for about a year because people were frustrated with the beta version. And if you go and look it was originally a plugin. If you go and look in the plugin repository in WordPress, you'll see it originally got like a 1.5-star rating. So Matt Mullenweg, one of the founders of WordPress, decided to take on the project himself and head the project and work on improvements. And he actually decided, hey, I'm not going to shave my beard until this is finished and released. And actually, so you can see him at WordCamps with this huge grizzly beard because it took so long. And then it was released kind of suddenly at WordCamp US, and people were kind of surprised. They weren't exactly prepared for that release. So there's a little bit of frustration in the community about that. But now we've been working with WordPress for several months. So when I started working with it, I was a little frustrated, but now I love it. Joe and I were talking about before the seminar, I love it. He hates it, kind of gets frustrated with it as someone who knows a lot of code. So Gutenberg is commonly referred to now as the block editor. You'll hear talk about the block editor a lot. I think of it as Legos that are stacked on top of each other. So you have lots of little blocks and you put them together to make a larger structure. This was the old post editor. It looks very much like Microsoft Word. And this is the new editor. So a little bit different layout, that sidebar, top menu. You'll see here on the screen I have, it says default layout set in theme settings. You'll have that part where you select the layout. That's theme dependent. So if you have a theme that doesn't offer different settings, you won't see that. So, different themes interact with the editor in different ways. So, why Gutenberg? People are like, what was wrong with the old system? We loved it. I'm used to it. I'm too busy to learn a new system. Matt Mullenweg said, we don't just want to make it easy to democratize publishing. We also want to make it beautiful. So a lot of people would go and try to use WordPress, people who don't know HTML or CMS, and they'd be totally frustrated. I set up a WordPress site for my church. Like a committee made a lot of decisions about what it would look like, and they were going to have a grad student format it. I almost cried a year later when I saw they had switched to Squarespace because they were so frustrated with using WordPress, particularly aligning images and text. So more and more people were using Weebly, Squarespace, Wix, other CMSs. And so it was obvious there were a lot of pain points with WordPress. Then there was this proliferation of page builders. Elementor, Divi, Beaver Builder are probably the most well-known ones, but there are maybe a dozen others that help people who don't know code build pages. Problem with these is some of them can slow down sites, they're clunky, or let's say I installed a theme that uses Elementor and then I want to switch themes, and the new theme doesn't use Elementor, it uses Beaver Builder. It can be a lot of headaches. Or when things are upgraded in WordPress. So it was clear, again, WordPress needed to do something. Also, I think blocks make sense when you're thinking of mobile and mobile first and arranging content and a website in blocks. So sure, for a lot of us, at first it's like, we're driving on the right side of the road and now you're driving on the left side of the road. It feels weird. You have to get used to it. It was the same way when I switched from my iPhone to my Google Pixel. For the first 2 weeks, I hated it because I just wasn't used to it. But now that I'm used to it, I love it. Some of you are saying, well, as a publisher, I'm just too overwhelmed. I'm barely able to focus on getting enough content up and on selling ads, let alone worrying about this technology. And I don't want to change. I like things as they are. But Gutenberg is the future of WordPress. It's inevitable that you have to adopt it. Now, you can use the classic editor until the end of 2021 and you'll be fine. But the reality is the editor is just phase one of Gutenberg development. So developers are focusing their attention on creating premium blocks. Blocks are, the evolution of what's now covered by, so you'll be able to use blocks to replace shortcodes, embeds, widgets, post formats, theme options, and other formatting elements. Pretty soon, you'll see more and more blocks to control more and more of your WordPress website. The next phase is, you'll be able to fully customize your site with blocks. The block editor will replace WordPress widgets. You'll be able to create navigation menus with blocks. And then there will be a block directory. So we have a plugin directory now. There will also be a block directory. There will be an improved mobile app using Gutenberg. I know a lot of people complain that the mobile version of WordPress is really terrible. The people realize that in the development community. Then you'll also be able to do collaboration and multi-user editing, things like that on Gutenberg in the future. So any questions about any of that?
Not right now, but you see that little Chrome OS notification on your screen? I think if you click that little blue up arrow next to the 6-minute mark, it'll get rid of it or move it out of the way.
Sorry.
It's blocking some of There we go.
Oh,
okay.
there we go.
You can keep going. No, you're good. No questions yet.
Okay. So the other great thing is I think I got rid of maybe 15 plugins I was using once I started using Gutenberg and more blocks were created. So there are dozens of block types that can add functionality to your site. You don't need a plugin, you don't need to know code, you don't need any other special knowledge. Now, of course, the blocks that most people are going to use are the paragraph blocks, headline blocks, image, embedding YouTube videos, and quote blocks. Here's like a very basic WordPress post using a Gutenberg. And at the end, I'm going to go through an actual post. We'll create an actual post together. So I know I'm going to be going through a lot of information kind of quickly, but then I hope it'll be easier to digest when we actually do a post. So you have a headline block, you have a paragraph block, and then you have an image block. Those are the basics. But there are all these other blocks. So you can create lists, you can create subheads, quotes, pull quotes, verses. You can create beautiful cover images with text over them, image galleries. You can embed audios. You can embed videos, popping a link in, but all sorts of formats. It doesn't just have to be YouTube and Vimeo. It can be all sorts of other custom links. You can actually create columns. You don't need a page builder now to create columns within your page or post. You can create page breaks. You can create separators when you want more space. You can customize that space between like an image and text. You can add separators. You can say read more, and you can show like your top posts or your top comments embedded right in the WordPress post. You can add custom HTML. You can add shortcodes still. But really cool things, you can add buttons. That's what I used to have a plugin just to add buttons. And then I had a shortcode plugin to manage all my shortcodes, because what if you deleted a plugin and you had an errant shortcode somewhere? You can add text in the classic mode. You can add files, you can add tables, you can add PDFs, you can add archives. It's great. And all this is just a click of a button versus the old way of adding a plugin, setting up that plugin. And then a lot of developers are creating custom blocks that you can add to your WordPress install via the plugin library. So this is just an example of a pull quote and a verse block that you can add. Those are standard with Gutenberg. But embeds, look, you can embed YouTube, Facebook, SoundCloud, Spotify links, Flickr, Vimeo, all really easily. There are tons of options. Or you could just copy and paste the URL and it will know, oh, this is a YouTube video, and it'll turn it into a video block. Well, Gutenberg will. You can add shortcodes with the shortcode block. And then, like I said, if you really can't live without the classic editor, you can choose classic editor for a post, and you can have several lines in the same block like you did before. So if you go to the plugin library and go up to the upper right and in the keyword put either Gutenberg or blocks, you will come up with dozens of plugins that allow you to install custom blocks with Gutenberg. Atomic Blocks is my favorite. It's made by the makers of Studio Press, who created the Genesis framework and themes. For example, so these are available blocks, creating a grid of posts, a container block, call to action, share social media sharing icons, testimonials. I use the call to action block to get people to become paid subscribers to Planet Princeton, and I'll show you that later. And it just makes a beautiful little button that says subscribe, and I customize the text. And it says like support local news now. I change up the text every week. And then I create what's called a reusable block, so I don't have to retype that every time. I just say, oh, find the support block and insert it. I'll show you that later. So here's what the page looks like when you're doing a post with Gutenberg. You choose a block. Upper left, the little plus sign allows you to add a block. This is just really the basic version. And then the writing experience I find to be very similar to the classic editor in terms of, you're writing a sentence, and then if you hit enter, it starts a new block. It defaults to the paragraph block. So you don't need to. Some people think, oh, I need to go in and say create paragraph block every time I want to create a new paragraph. No, it will automatically create another paragraph block. And then if you say, I'm going to go back up and make this one line a heading instead, you just go back up there and change the type of block. And then repeat after me. I do not have to manually add blocks each time I want a new paragraph, image, heading, etc. You hit enter for a new paragraph. You can also drag and drop images. You can drag and drop. You can drag blocks around and move them around. But Gutenberg has a ton of shortcuts. And there's a menu where you can see where all the shortcuts are. But the best shortcut is the slash button. So let's say I write a paragraph and then I hit enter. Right after I hit enter to create a new block, I just hit the slash and it will prompt me and ask me what kind of block I want. Let's say I want a quote block. I type the letter Q and it will prompt me for the list of blocks that start with Q.
If I press shift enter, will it make a new line or a line break instead of making a new paragraph? Does that still retain?
I'm not sure about that. It depends too on if you have on Mac or Chromebook or Windows too. The shortcuts are different on each, but I'm not sure. I'd have to test that.
Cool.
I never really used that. I know there's a short code for like page break and things like that, but I'm not sure what it is. We'll look at that later. So this is like you're doing a post. So A here is add a new block. B is undo what I just did or redo it. Then the title here, then C, if you want to look at your document settings, you go to C over here. If you just want to look at the block settings for the individual block, you go to the block. Then if you want to preview what you've done so far, up in the upper right where that I is, you click that and it'll show you a preview. And then F is where you insert your text or your image or whatever else. And then, so here we're starting a post. You enter the title up at the top, and you go to start writing right after that, the next line. After you hit enter on the title, it will prompt you to choose a block.
I have a question from Joe. He says, how do you change the spacing between blocks? Sometimes I'm typing a new paragraph and it creates a new block, but the spacing between the two is more than I want. Is that something you'd have to go into the HTML to do, or is that...
Well, so it's going to be theme dependent in some cases, but so sometimes when I'm copying text from somewhere else, I find it will add funky spacing, and I have to go back and put my cursor before the first letter in the paragraph and backspace to eliminate the extra space. But let's say you want to add more space between paragraphs. There's a spacer tool. So basically you add a spacer block and you pick how big or small you want that space to be. And then you can change the size of text. But like, for example, my theme, actually I had a certain font and I didn't like how the spacing worked, so I changed the font and it looks much better and the spacing seems better to me. So I'd have to see the issue. I'm happy to take a look later if Joe wants to email me to take a look at his particular issue so I can tell which problem it actually is, or unless Joe has a comment about it now.
He says he'll email you.
Yeah, okay. And then permalink, in case you want to change the permalink, you change that over on the right here. It took me a while to get used to that right sidebar and changing things over there. So then when you create a block, there's this little toolbar that appears here so you can say whether you want to justify it, center, left, right. You can bold it. You can make italics. You can add a hyperlink. And if you really don't like this being here, you can actually, there's a setting where you can move this toolbar up to the top, like the old toolbar, where the old toolbar used to be. But I like it right where the block is, so I don't have to like take that extra step of going back up to the top. So we're in the block section. So there's the, changing document settings and changing block settings. Whoops, and you can do so many things here. So you can change the size of your text, small, medium, large, extra large. You can make your text a custom size. You can do a drop cap, and then you can, sometimes I pick a drop cap, but then I think it's too big, so I'll pick S or M instead of L to change the size of that drop cap. Again, with my old font, I didn't really like how the drop cap looked, so I switched fonts until I found one I thought was attractive, because for features I use that drop cap and readers love it. I actually got emails from people saying, I love how that post looks. I was kind of shocked by that. You can change the colors of the font. You can change the background color. So here is a block where I change the background color to green. And you might want to do that to emphasize something or highlight a quote. And then let's say you want to see how many words you've written so far. At first I was like, hey, where did that go on the WordPress post? I can't figure out how many words I wrote. The little eye up there shows you how many words you wrote, how many headings you have, how many paragraphs, and how many blocks. This is also helpful for SEO, search engine optimization. Yoast will tell you should have headings to break up information, make it more digestible for people. On an average post, I don't care about that so much, but on a long feature, I do. So up to the right, you have the new menu settings, so you can preview a post. You can click publish. You can, with the little that little icon there, the little dial, you can say like hide the menu settings, so that if you want like a clean editing screen, you don't like a lot of clutter, you can just hide that for the moment. If you have Yoast, you can adjust your Yoast SEO settings there, and then you can do other things with these three dots that I'll show you later to look at different things. So you can pick your categories here, your tags, your featured image, or you can trash your post. You can set up, the visibility public, or if you want to publish it like 12 hours from now, you can set that up right there to auto post later. Just another look. Show tips. You'll see in the middle there that will show you tips about using Gutenberg, so it'll guide you through the different tools you have, the different block settings. And then copy all content. So one of my biggest frustrations with Guttenberg is, like, let's say I'm worried that I lost my internet connection and I want to try to copy and save everything, by hitting, copying all the text and hitting Control-C. Well, sometimes it's really awkward and it won't work when I'm just trying to use my mouse or my pad, but this copy all content down at the bottom will copy everything for you automatically. So it took me a long time to figure out that was there, actually. So now, if you're feeling really overwhelmed right now and you just can't make the switch because you have too much going on with your WordPress website, please, please, please still update your website to the latest version of WordPress. Almost 80% of the people who took the poll said they are not using the latest version of WordPress. The issue with that is security. WordPress is updated not just to add new features like Gutenberg, but there are often security patches included in all the new releases. So you're putting your site at risk if you do not update it to the latest version. And what I recommend is you make a backup of your site first. If you have a great host, they make a day like WordPress Engine or Kinsta, they make a backup for you every day. But what I do is like I'll make changes like this. I'll experiment late at night when there aren't as many readers, or like on a Saturday night. I'll go in at 10 or 11 at night, and I'll make a backup really quickly, and then I'll make the change I want to make. Some people do they have like staging sites where they stage everything to make sure it works before they deploy it. I know as a sort of one-woman publishing person that I really don't have time to make these staging sites for most of the time. So this is what I do instead. I make sure I have a backup, and then I deploy the change later at night. And then, like, sometimes I've made changes to my site, like I decided to mess with the code, and I got what we call the white screen of death, and I couldn't do anything to my site, and I was freaking out, and I just went into my host's dashboard and said, restore, and it was fine. So, but what I recommend is, so you make a backup of your site, then go to the plugins page and install the classic WordPress editor plugin, which is created by WordPress. And you don't need to activate it yet, but just have it there at the ready in case you're going to need it. Then upgrade to the latest version of WordPress and take a look around and see, does everything work? Is everything functioning properly? If there are problems, you can revert back to your old site. You can also activate the classic editor. Or let's say you're just not ready to deal with this, this new system, this visually of editing your content. You activate the classic editor, and you'll have the most recent version of WordPress, but you'll still be able to use that classic editor with it. Now, most themes and plugins will work fine after you make the update. I know many people who were really worried when they switched over and updated to the latest version, even people who are like on WordPress 3.9, which was like from 3 years ago. They updated and everything was fine. Now, if your themes have been updated sometime between December and now, everything should be great. If not, you might want to activate the classic editor, which is supported through the end of 2021. Now, I would say, as someone who works on WordPress websites, if your themes and plugins if your theme and plugins have not been updated since late 2018, it's probably time to get a new theme and a new developer, or switch plugins, because any good plugin and theme developer will have made updates since then. If something hasn't been updated in the last year, it means the developer basically probably abandoned it, and moving forward, that could be a problem. It might not be a problem today, but in a month or a few months or next year, sooner or later, it's going to be a problem. Are there any questions about that?
Not at the moment. And Stephanie's going to swap out for me. I'm going to run to the restroom real quick, and she's going to
Okay. Okay. Hi, Stephanie. Now, also, people are worried, what will updating to Gutenberg do with my old posts? Is it going to ruin everything I've published already? Updating to the latest version of WordPress won't do anything to your old posts. So this is a post I made here before installing Gutenberg. And look, when I go in after installing Gutenberg, I could convert it to a Gutenberg block if I want to. I don't have to, but I can. Let's say I want to add a call to action button or some other fun stuff, or some, a cover photo. I can convert to blocks, and it will be just fine. But it will leave it alone just as it was, so you don't have to worry about that. And you can even play around first with Gutenberg if that would make you feel more comfortable. So if you go to wordpress.org Gutenberg or Fruntenberg, these two links here, which you'll get when the slides are shared later, you can fool around and play with it. It just won't save your changes, but you can see live. You can see live what you're doing when you click buttons, what it does to the site. So I actually went and fooled around with this before I implemented Gutenberg on my site, just so I had a basic level of comfort with Gutenberg. It was kind of fun. Now I'm going to go to, are there any questions so far before we go to an actual page? No? Okay, I'm going to switch out of the slides, and then if someone has a question, go ahead and ask. So here is a page, Planet Princeton. This could also be a post. It would look basically the same. So I'm just going to walk through everything on the page here, even though we looked at some of it already. So if I would add a title here. So I want to write something about the boss, Bruce Springsteen, since I live in New Jersey. So studying the boss is going to be the title of my post. So if I want to add another block, I can add a block up here, and I can choose what kind of block I want to add. There are all these blocks here. So paragraph, it'll show you the blocks you use most, and this will be different for every publisher. Paragraph, image, different layout styles, columns. I use a call to action a lot, so like getting people to subscribe to my newsletter or getting people to donate. Lists, tables. You don't need a separate plugin now to create tables in your WordPress site. So these are other common blocks. Quotes, PDF embedder, which is really handy for a journalist. Galleries, audio. I embed SoundCloud links quite a bit now. A cover photo. I use advanced ads to serve up my ads, and now there's a block for advanced ads. So I can plop an ad right into my post wherever I want in between blocks. Videos, files, headings, then formatting. So formatting a pull quote, a verse, custom HTML code, or the classic editor. Layout elements. So you can add a spacer if you want more space between your blocks. You can add a button. Media and text, so you don't have to struggle with aligning an image and text next to it. You choose media and text. Oh, here's the more button. I'm not sure what that shortcut is on the keyboard. Page break and a separator. Widgets, so you can add a calendar to your post. You can add a search bar directly in your posts. You can add latest comments at the bottom. You can add latest posts. You can add an RSS feed. You can add a tag cloud, and you don't need plugins for any of these things now. You can embed Instagram, Mail-in, YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, Flickr, Hulu, Kickstarter campaign, Reddit. All sorts of things. Tumblr, which WordPress just bought yesterday, an Amazon Kindle link, a TV link, all sorts of things now. Atomic Blocks. Now, Atomic Blocks is a third-party plugin I use. That's where I created my custom call to action form, but it shows up here with the others in the menu. So email newsletter, I have it set up so that I can promote my MailChimp newsletter. If you have Yoast, which I highly recommend to set up to optimize your site for SEO, you can create a FAQ post and a how-to post, which are, in terms of SEO, there are special tags for those that will optimize those. I also use Jetpack for various things, but mainly to syndicate my posts automatically on social media. But so Jetpack also has, so if you are a paid Jetpack subscriber, you can collect recurring payments using Jetpack. You can post contact info, maps, slideshows, things like that. And then reusable blocks. So I created a block called Support Planet Princeton. And then I said, save that block as a reusable block, and then whenever I want to use it, it's there again. It's really handy.
Okay. Real quick, now that I'm back, Creighton wanted to know about WordPress and addressing the need to not use Gutenberg after 2021. Did you say that 2021 is the cutoff for the legacy system?
Yes, the legacy system.
Okay. So that folks who are still using the old WordPress and not Gutenberg by 2021 will no longer be supported.
That's right. I mean, you could still use it, but are they going to update it or support it? No.
Okay.
So,
and then Kimmy wanted to know, when you're going back to the calendar block, I think you're talking about, what she said, what kind of calendar? Was that a specific block or? No,
it's just a regular calendar there.
Just regular, okay.
If you're using a plugin like the events calendar, you could, I think they have created custom blocks where you can embed the events calendar in your post. So, but that's just a regular calendar.
Okay, cool.
Let me see. And then you'll have some information, like Yoast SEO will show you information also at the bottom of your post. So I have this, so up here, so you can add an image, you can change layouts, add columns. So this is a regular post. Let me get some text from, let's see. Wait, I know I don't want to do it with this. So I'm going to change the title. I'm going to change this title. So I just copied and pasted in there, and it replaced what I had. Then I think I would like a cover photo. Let's see. I'm not sure what the, so I hit backslash. I'm not sure what the, let me see here. I'm not sure what the short code is for that. I want to add a cover image. Cover here. So I'm going to go to my media library, pick a picture of Bruce that I like. That looks pretty good. And this is my cover photo. I can write over it with text, studying the boss. Okay. Now I want to add another block. So I hit enter. So I hit enter, and I'm adding a regular paragraph, so I don't need to do anything in terms of special coding. So I'm copying and pasting text I wrote already. Just for time's sake. So there we go. All of those, all of those blocks appeared automatically. Now, if you get annoyed with the block editor and these breakups and paragraphs, and also what I found is when I have a really long document, like I had a 5,000 word document I was trying to add, and I found like Gutenberg was really kind of slow, like trying to move around a document that big, and I had lots of images, and I got frustrated, so I just actually wrote the story in a Google Doc and then copied and pasted it and plopped it in when I was all done. So, some people prefer to do that. Some people prefer to write directly on the post and compose right in the post. But for longer documents especially, I like to compose in Google Docs first. So all this text is here now. Let's say I also wanted to add a pull quote. So I'm not going to use a shortcut now. I'm going to say, let's have a quote here. So it colors it. That's just how my theme, that theme is based on my color settings for my theme. So each theme will be different there. So there, it makes special formatting. You can add a citation. Let's say I wanted to go up here and change the color of one of these blocks here. So, and I wanted to change the font. I'm just, this isn't going to look how I, so I can change it over to the right under the block settings. And let's say I want that to be orange as well. There we go. So, because I wanted to highlight that part of the, you might not use it often, but it's a fun little thing. Let's say I wanted to add a picture of the professor here. So first of all, it's an interesting thing here. See, so after you've created a block, you can change what type it is by just going up here. See the little arrows? You can say, I want to make that a heading instead. I want to make that a bigger heading or smaller. It depends on how you have your headings set. So you can customize all that. Now I want it to go back to being a paragraph. So I reset it again. Now I say, I want to add an image of that professor to this. So you already have a paragraph. So I say add image. And I go to my media library. Here's the professor. I select that image. And then I'm going to align that to the right and make it smaller. So you change the size over here to the right. I want to make it like 50%, 25%. You can do that. And then I want to move that up, let's say. Move this down. So I want to make that centered. I want to make it larger. So you could do all sorts of things. If you wanted to do, like you wanted to have an image with text next to it, you would choose the image and text block. Let's say I wanted to add a call to action here because I have a lot of Bruce Springsteen lovers who love Planet Princeton, and I want to make sure that they know that they can support Planet Princeton. I go to my reusable block I created, support Planet Princeton. I just click on that, it pops it right in there. And if let's say I decide, I don't really like the word subscribe, I want to edit that and say support or donate. I could do that right away, and I hit save, and that saves that permanently until I go and change it again. Let me see, are there any other questions about an actual post? So let's say, a gallery. Someone had asked about a gallery. So let's say you want to create a gallery. So
somebody did want to know if you can drop an image and have the text flow around it, word wrapping, and it looks like that actually happens.
Yes, you can do that.
Okay. Yeah, so go to the galleries. That'd be great.
Yeah, gallery. And then I'm going to upload photos from my media library. 3 photos of Bruce that I like. Create a new gallery. Insert gallery. So there we go. And you can change the settings. So over on the right, you can see how many columns do you want. You can change it to 2, although, and see it resizes the photos so that they work nicely together. You can change it to 1, and it'll just drop them in one by one. Now, depending on the number of photos, what I found, at least from my theme and my settings, is sometimes like when I go and look at the actual published post, if I have it set up this way, it'll actually create a slideshow where you have to click next, next, next. But I think WordPress is working on changing that actually. So I'm going to keep it at 3 since I have 3. And I'm going to move this up because it really should go above the, see, why isn't the arrow showing here? There should be an arrow right here. It should go above there. There we go. So I just, oh wait, did I delete that? So anyway.
Evan Coughlin wants to know, well, first, Kimmy says, when you save a saved block, it overwrites the old version? Are you allowed to overwrite, saved blocks?
Yes.
Or, okay.
Yes. So when you hit save, but you can also copy a custom block, and you can also copy a custom block, and then you can also just create a new one. So you can have 10 custom blocks or as many as you want. Yeah. So let's say, let me do that again. So add a block. We're going to say. Support PP. See, so now it's in my most used. So I add that support PP, and then I'll say edit it. I click edit, and then I'm going to say donate instead of support. Then I hit save. Let's say I want to just say support local journalism. And then I hit save. Okay, so that overwrote my support PP call to action, but it didn't change it up higher. Oh wait, it did. Actually, that's surprising.
Oh, so it changes it across the board wherever it appears.
Actually, yes.
That's good to know.
Yes, it's good to know.
If you want to have different versions of them, so maybe support PP short, support PP full, you can create and you can duplicate and then edit the duplicates. Kevin has a question real quick. I believe I know the answer to this, but he wants to know how you add new photos to your library with Gutenberg. And I'm pretty sure it's just the same as before. Go to media, add new, right? Okay.
Yeah, just same as before.
And I think that's all the questions right now.
Now it's weird. So I know one thing. So layouts. So now this is a premium block I'm using, but so this is with StudioPress Atomic blocks. I can select all sorts of different layouts for my page. I mean, as a news website, you might not care about these in your everyday posts, but let's say your call to action button or landing pages or subscribe to our email, you might want to use one of these cool pages, or you might want to embed a map. in there, something like that. So you could just, pick things for your different pages. Let me say, like add new. Oh, wait. Actually, I want to save this first. Okay, add new. So I'm going to choose a different layout. I'm going to choose profile. So it'll add your profile. I'm going to undo that. I'm going to say add a business. You're creating a business page, a landing page, let's say. Now you can, customize and change the photo. You can change the buttons, all of that kind of stuff. But, it gives you the template to do everything. So it really takes a lot of the work out of building pages and sites and posts. And let me see. I want to look at some things over here. Let me go back to the post about Bruce Springsteen. Yeah, so Kevin, to get back to the media gallery, if you look on the left, your dashboard, everything is basically the same over on your dashboard. It's just the same way it was in the classic editor, right? You'll have your dashboard, your web hosts, all your posts, new categories, tags, events, media, all that's the same. So a library, and then you click add new, or you drag and drop, just like with my Chromebook, I don't do a lot of drag and drop, but on my Mac, I do a lot of drag and drop from the desktop into the media library. So you can drag and drop, or you just say add new, and drag and drop there, select files. It's the same. So a lot of the stuff is really familiar still. It's not that drastic a change, except when actually writing posts. Any questions about that? No? Okay, so I'm going to go back.
Will Gutenberg resize or shrink the photos as necessary? All of that is as far as I know, the media library is utterly unchanged in Gutenberg.
Right, utterly unchanged.
Yeah, so it's exactly the same as before, and you can click and drag on the photos. I do know. Maybe you can show him that.
But let me show again the media. Yeah, let me go back to my Bruce post. Wait, where is that? Bruce Springsteen. Oops. Oh, so this is another one I was doing. I was playing around with it yesterday. Maybe did mine not save. So, okay, let's. Okay, so we're going to add an image. Add an image. It's already in the media library. We're going to add this one of Bruce at Rutgers from back in the day. And we're going to center that. And that image looks kind of small, right? I want to resize that. So I want to go to my block editor here. So you click that little gear to show the block editor. We're on this image. It shows the dimensions, 534 by 401. Let's say I want to make that half that size. I hit the 50%. I mean, these are nice just, when you're doing things and you want everything to be, you want to make a quick change. Now, like I have my image width set in my theme. So like max image, and like I want my full size images to be a certain size. I want my medium size images to be a certain size. That's all in my theme settings. But let's say you dropped an image in there and you want to customize the size. So I added that image, and then I make sure it's at 100%. It sometimes won't work unless you make sure that you click that. You can reset it to its original size there too, but 100%, let's say I want to make that a lot bigger. I just, I can enter, I can just go up until I think it looks the right size, or I can go and put in actual pixels. So 700, let's say, is my standard. So I'm going to make that 700. So there you go. And I can link it. I can link that to a custom URL too. If I want someone to click on that image and go to another page, I can add a URL to that image. I don't think it was that easy back with the classic editor. Oh, this I had added a sound cloud. So this is actually an audio, which I just embedded using the sound cloud, using the sound cloud block. Other questions about images?
Yeah, so he just wants to know if it maintains the aspect ratio automatically, or is this something? He said it looks like you scaled, but the height number didn't change when you.
No, the height number should have changed.
Okay.
Yeah,
like I said, I'm pretty sure it scales it and keeps the aspect ratio unless you're able to disable that somehow.
Yeah, it does. You can disable when you're editing photos in the media editor, you can choose whether or not to keep the ratios or not. But that's really in WordPress core, not Gutenberg. So other questions? We have plenty of time if people have questions. Otherwise, I can talk more about these menus here. So preview. I
can also unmute you if you'd like to. If anybody'd like to ask questions with their microphone instead of typing, and that's fine. Are you so this is the end of the slides, right? You're at the end now.
Yeah, I wasn't using slides here. I was actually live.
You're at the end of your.
Well, yeah, I was just going to go over a few more things on the screen, but I was really hoping people would ask questions.
Yeah, Kevin wants to know can you explain how this is better for mobile?
Well, it's going to be better once they update the mobile editor. If you're talking about posting via mobile, but if you're talking about how people read websites and consume content via mobile, I don't know. Just for me, in terms of thinking of things in blocks, it makes more sense because really like the sidebar. I don't even think about sidebars anymore in terms of posts because to me. 65% of my readers read on mobile, and the sidebar gets pushed to the bottom. I talked about this in the last seminar. So it's much more helpful for me to think of WordPress content in terms of blocks or modules, like building Legos on top of each other or next to each other. Does that make any sense, Kevin? Do you want to say something?
Yeah, hold on.
You're unmuted. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think it does. I was just wondering about how this translates stuff visually to mobile. Will it, improve that, or it's all in how you bake it, how it's going to look, basically?
Yeah, it's all in how you bake it, but that's still going to be theme dependent, and how you have your theme settings, and it's not going to solve all the problems with mobile, but I think it offers a lot more options in terms of setting things up for mobile. And like if you have a gallery of 3 photos, it'll automatically adjust for mobile so that they would be stacked on top of each other for a smaller size phone instead of next to each other. Mm-hmm. So, but a lot of themes already do that. Responsive design. Responsive design is already built into WordPress themes. It's really a theme issue. I know publishers who still don't have responsive themes, and you have to zoom in and out of the page.
Yep.
Yeah, it's really a theme issue. And I would say if you have a responsive design, but you still are using like the sidebar layout where you put all your ads, most of your ads in the sidebar, you're behind, because that's really not a mobile first strategy. A mobile first strategy would be integrating ads and other things like the call to action button. So this was the thing before with the call to action. You might have a plugin that would insert a call to action. And where would it insert that call to action? Not in the poster page, but it would put it in the sidebar or in a widget at the bottom. But now you can add these widgets to the post or page itself, right? So it's a much better experience.
Instead of sliding the sidebar down to the very bottom with all of your ads not displaying at the top, it integrates them within in the post.
Right. Or your call to action button. So like we'll go back to the support PP. I just added that. So in the past, I had a plugin that helped me add a donate button, and I'd have the tab up somewhere, support PP in my menu, and then as a widget in the sidebar, I'd have the support local journalism donate, or I'd have my subscribe to our newsletter. Well, that got pushed to the bottom on mobile with the sidebar. but there's no way for me to embed it in all my posts and pages with my theme. Now I can embed it in every post if I want to, every page. Now, do I put the support local journalism call to action in every post or page? No. I actually only added, this is a strategic decision on my part. I only add that support local journalism on those pages. Let's say it's investigative reporting, a longer feature, government reporting, things like that, that I feel have a lot of value to readers. That's when I like to add that button.
Okay, we got a couple other. First, Nikolai made a great addition in the chat. It says if you want to test how any site looks on mobile or any other screen, he uses quirktools.com/screenfly, and the link is in the chat there if anybody wants to check that out. Joe wants you to demonstrate how to do a word wrap.
Okay.
And then real quick, I'll let Kimmy jump in after this with a question verbally because I don't fully understand her question. And then Kevin eventually wants to know any idea how Broad Street interacts and plays with Gutenberg. So let's start with a word wrap.
Okay. So let's say.
And I'm assuming, Joe, I assume you mean add an image to image and text in the same area and have the text wrap around the image as if, like a little, headshot and then a bio that would wrap around the side, correct? Yeah, okay, that's correct.
Yeah, so let me see. So I go to layout elements and I click media and text. And then I choose my media, let's say my picture Bruce here, and I type the text next to it. Just like that, and it can be a whole paragraph. It can be, you can have that. You can adjust how you want that. You can bold the whole thing. You can add a link. Does that make sense? Hello?
Joe, you're unmuted. Why don't you go ahead and it's not letting me unmute you for some reason. He basically says that's not the story text flowing around an image. So say you're in the middle of the body of an article, you got the copy there. You'd like to insert an image and just plop an image next to the text before and have it wrap like image wrap. So just a regular paragraph block. Give us some lorem ipsum in bulk there with a couple of paragraphs.
Yeah.
And then
Let me see. When I do it on my own.
Yeah, and then just copy and paste that a gajillion times so you can get the full paragraph.
So I'm trying to think of my own. I mean, I like to use the image and the text because, paragraphs are blocks now, but if you're typing and you want it to flow and wrap, let me copy this a few more times.
Yeah, you can copy from the Word document too. You have demo text there.
Yeah, I think there might be some, I could do that too.
There we go. Yeah, so then if you just put an image block in there, you should be able to choose whether it's
it's
a word wrap, right?
Yeah, so usually I will say, so I do it like just, so I do it just like out of habit. So it's like I have to think about this again. So adding an image, I'm gonna add this one, and then I'm gonna say reduce it 25%. Now normally when I do this, let me see, it would
click and drag that up to the text box and make it.
Yeah, it's weird. For some reason, my drag thing disappeared.
Very strange.
It's like a quirk. I think I added some code to this page, but normally it would just wrap. Let me see. Yeah, it wants to do that.
No. That's something you should play around with on your own backends and see if you can make that.
Yeah, but it should work. It should just, so it could be the image, something with the image, but, oh, inline image. Is that? Let me see if that's it. Yeah, but normally it should just wrap. So what happens is usually when let me find a post I've done. I'm gonna leave this. Planet Princeton post. So let's say I want to add an image. Let's see if it works here. So image, media library. Now normally what would happen is I would insert the image. This is a good story to look at it as. So sorry for the delay here. I want to make sure I show you this. Does anyone else have a question while I'm looking this up?
Doesn't look like anybody else. Oh, well, we have the idea about how Broad Street plays, but of how Broad Street.
Yeah, so I'm not really sure about Broad Street. That would be, I mean, they should be communicating to their customers how they're working with Gutenberg. I mean, are they going to be creating Gutenberg blocks for Broad Street? That's what, otherwise it functions just as it does now. Right?
Okay.
So, but I could see Broad Street in the future creating custom blocks where you could actually embed a Broad Street ad or like their social media ad right in your post or page. Okay, so this is a post I created about a professor at Princeton who died in a climbing accident.
There we go.
Yeah, and I selected align right. When I inserted the photo and selected align right, and it popped it right next to all that text.
Yeah, so maybe that's just a glitch with that individual post. Yeah, because I'm having it works for me. If you just do align left or align right, it automatically merges it with the above and below blocks. So
right.
Evan, that's how you do it.
I think there's just something weird today because of the screen share, some setup. I'm not quite sure.
That might have something to do with it for sure.
Yeah, it's kind of strange. But so normally I'd write the paragraphs here, the two paragraphs that are to the left of the photo. And then I say insert a photo. And after I choose the photo, I click align right. And it knows to pop it up next to the text instead of keeping it orphaned to the side, Yeah.
And then it's 2:00 now. So before everybody goes, Kimmy, I'm going to unmute you if you wanted to ask a question real quick about your theme you said. No, you're not. It's not unmuting you. Hold on a second.
I think it did it.
There you go.
Yeah, I think this was listed as going till 2:30, but I wanted to make sure there was a lot of time for questions.
Oh yeah, that's right. We do have we have blocked off until 2:30. That is.
But correct. We can do longer. We can do a shorter or longer, whatever whatever people want. Kimmy, what was your question? I'm sorry.
Okay, so I bought like a multilingual theme. I think it's bilingual, but I haven't used it yet. So I was asking them, are they Gutenberg compatible? And I wasn't sure what to make of their answer. So they said you can't change the layout using Guttenberg, but you can use like the text editor.
Yeah, Kimmy, what they mean is you can't change the layout of your theme with Gutenberg. So like your home page or the way like the header up at the top of your individual pages and posts looks like so on Planet Princeton. We're just going to go to the Planet Princeton screen. So, the way my home page is laid out here, that's all theme based. Gutenberg isn't going to change any of this. And even my individual pages, if I go to my most recent post, this part up here where the logo is and the menu and my events and all that, none of that is going to change. But just this area here where I have my title, my paragraphs, that's where I have freedom to change things with Gutenberg. Gutenberg right now for this phase really just changed the text editor experience. It doesn't change anything else about your site. Just the text editor and what you can use the text editor for. But it's not going to change the overall look of your site.
So can I embed, calls to action button and stuff like that?
Yes, in your posts and pages, you can do anything that Gutenberg allows you to do. It's just not you can't change the theme design.
Okay.
I think
Krystal,
that's what
back one screen where you were showing me the layout of your site. So, but the events calendar appears to be a sidebar.
Yeah, because I'm on desktop. So I have mine set up so that, but it's not really a sidebar. It looks like it's a sidebar, but if you go to my website and you shrink it down, this is actually a container. So I have a container system so that the calendar goes right under the first 2 posts, and then more content goes under the calendar. So I have it set up so that it's, again, like modules, like blocks. So let's go to the home page. So here's my home page in mobile. A few posts, an ad. Then I chose, this is where I chose to put the calendar. Then I have more posts. Then I can embed a call to action. I put the Instagram at the bottom because and I have just one more way to look at my events calendar. This is really kind of a dead space, but it's another way for people who want to look at it in like a calendar view. But yeah, I can embed anything, so I could choose like show me a widget or, the calendar or an ad every 3 posts, every 5 posts. Because I have a container system instead of a sidebar system. And that's theme-based. I mean, I can send you a link to a few good themes if you're interested in that kind of setup. Okay. But that really has nothing to do with Gutenberg,
Got it. Okay.
Any other questions? If not, I wanted to show just a few more things before our time is up.
Hey, Krystal. While you're there, if you go up to preview, do you get the choice to look at it in in tablet, desktop, or mobile? Does it offer you that choice?
No, you just would shrink your screen.
Okay.
That's what I resize my screen to see. For now, that might be coming soon. Gutenberg's like a work in process. They've been working out a lot of the kinks, and they keep adding cool new features. Like now you can nest things within, so you can nest a block within a block. So like if I want to nest images within images or, things like that, or posts within posts, you can do nesting now. That's pretty new. But yeah, you can't do the preview in different versions.
Mine, on my version you can, but I don't know if that's a function of.
Oh, that's a function of your theme.
Or, okay.
Well, look at you, fancy Steve over here.
Yeah.
For those who want that, the word emulator is a good word to know. And again, ScreenFly is a great way to emulate various devices and screens. Yeah,
it could be if you have Jetpack Premium, or it could be a screen, a theme issue, because different themes have different. Like my old theme actually had the ability to look at anything in like tablet, mobile, and desktop. The little gear here, you can, if you don't like to see all the, the sidebar and everything while you're writing, you can hide that up with that little gear or add it. I use OneSignal to do push notifications, and you can see whenever I want to push a story, I just check this box, and that story will be pushed to all my push notification subscribers, which is like 5,000 people. So by default, I have it unchecked because sometimes I've pushed out, like there's a lost dog in the neighborhood and I accidentally pushed it out to all the push subscribers. So I have it set up by default that it doesn't push. I can control my ad settings here. Plugins that work with Gutenberg and have Gutenberg interfaces, often the sidebar is where you'll see the settings for those, like Yoast. Yoast over here, you can set. You like look at your snippet preview, your SEO analysis, Jetpack. So this is where I control. So I use Jetpack, and mostly because I love the syndication features, but I have the free version, not the premium version. And when I want to publish a post to Facebook and Twitter, I click here and it turns green, and then it will prompt me to write a custom intro to the post for social media. And then these 3 little dots, a lot of people don't realize. So let's say you don't like that toolbar that's over every block. You can set it up by clicking that so that the toolbar will appear up at the top instead. Full screen mode where you can work without distraction. You can do the code editor instead. Joe, this is how you can look at your site fully as code instead of just one block.
There we go.
Yeah, nice, huh? So for people like, who are coders, not me. and other tools. So managing all your reusable blocks. Oh, and this is where the keyboard shortcuts are here. So keyboard shortcuts, here we see all the shortcuts. Now this is for my Google Chromebook, so it might be a little different for your Mac or Windows device. Block shortcuts, duplicate a block, remove the block, text formatting, add a strike through, remove a link, convert a text to link, you can underline, all sorts of fun stuff. And then if you want to copy all of your content, you just click that and it copied all of the content on that page. So you don't have to, it's really annoying trying to copy all the blocks with just your cursor, you know. And then options, enable pre-published checks. Enable tips will show you Gutenberg tips. So you can hide or show these panels, your permalink panel, your categories, your tags, your featured image, your excerpt, custom fields if you're using fancy custom fields, push notifications, all that. You can customize how that all looks in your dashboard.
Kevin is going to go ahead and ask a question.
On your when you push out to Facebook on the right there, when you click that button, does it let you when it prompts you to write an intro? Does it also prompt you for tags?
No, that's in. So that would be in. Well, you mean hashtags or SEO tags?
No, hashtags. You know, like when you're tagging somebody in your Facebook post.
Well, you could put a hashtag in there. So you know, because I'd already published that post, it didn't show it, but. I'm going to exit code editor. So let's say I'm going to customize how this post looks. So customize your message. Then you write the message you want to appear when you post to social media. This is my latest post. And I would just say hashtag Princeton. You know, hashtag Ivy League.
Hashtag gangster.
Right, so.
I mean, no, but if you're trying to tag other Facebook.
Oh, you mean like so at
Morristown Green or at Planet Princeton or.
Yeah, you could do that just by using the at. You know, it doesn't have special coding.
That is tricky though, isn't it? I mean, I've tried that before, and often it doesn't automatically create the tag. You may have to go back and edit the post from Facebook if in that case.
Really?
I'm not sure if that works. I'm talking only from my personal experience, so don't take it. For granted, but
right. You know, things are always going to depend on how your theme interacts with the plugins too. Each theme is different and sometimes will affect, you know, it's just like most plugins and themes will work with Gutenberg, but some that are really complex and have a lot of features that are all baked into the theme, like they have like a ton of settings, like newspaper, that newspaper theme that you use, Kevin, like there might be some minor conflicts because of CSS clashing. So that could be the case with Jetpack not working with some. But sometimes I tag people and do hashtags, and I haven't had trouble with mine.
Hey, if you have multiple users, does it work the same way with privileges and so forth?
Yeah, everything's the same. All Gutenberg does is change the text editor, but all your users, everything else with WordPress is exactly the same.
So all the users are going to have to learn this new way of being as well, then.
Yes.
Oh joy!
And if you have gone to all three of these sessions, you do qualify for a 30-minute consultation. Perhaps your users will be on there with you.
Yes, and I'm always happy to, I'm always happy to help people. If you need help, you want to email me or, reach out to me on Twitter if you're having trouble. I'm willing to help people, to a certain limit, my time, with my time, but I'm always willing to help for free. To help my fellow local publishers.
And that's literally what I get paid to do as well. So if you'd like some really targeted consulting, I would highly recommend hiring Krystal. Kevin, you can always, give me a call if you need some quick stuff, and I'll try to Google it for you. Yeah.
But I think really the thing is don't be afraid of it. Just jump in and try it. I mean, you can go on those demo sites and give it a try there first. And like I said, it's like switching from the iPhone to the Google system. It's like it takes a while to get used to, but once you get used to it and you realize all the capabilities, it's great. So using that call to action button, I had a big investigative series that ran in June and July, but I started embedding that call to action button in my posts and stories about the, my pages and stories about the investigation. And I raised $5,700 from supporters in 6 weeks. So just having that call to action button there. Because I'm going to put a call to action button, like become a supporter, up next to the logo up at the top of the site. And right now I have a link like support us, and actually as someone who's on this call or on this webinar now, and another friend, they looked at my site and they said, oh, that's not very obvious. Like, you need to be more obvious with that, but certainly putting it in right at the bottom of a post. And if someone really liked that post, there's a better chance that they're going to engage with that. And then it's great to be able to edit that and fool around with the wording, because I noticed different wording you want to do A/B testing about which wording is the most compelling. So, and the color of the button, there have been studies and stuff like that, or to make that color match your theme, Other questions or comments? Does anyone have questions about the different types of blocks you can add? But it really, so having all these blocks, dozens of blocks, is what makes, what sold me on Gutenberg, and that's why I like it so much. I can add my user profile at the bottom of a story, or one of my other users. That's kind of handy, and they can view all my posts by clicking on it. That's pretty cool. What are some other blocks? I love being able to insert tables without having a separate horrible WordPress plugin for tables that looks crappy. The tables look really nice with this plugin. With this block. And then, sometimes you might want to create columns. I don't really use columns that much, but you can add columns. The drop cap. So I made this A, and then I can highlight that and go to my block editor. Oh, I need to select the block. This block.
I think that's your headline, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, it's my headline. That's fine. Yeah. So Krystal went. So I want to make this a drop cap. So I'm going to say turn on the drop cap. And then it's kind of big. So I'm going to say make it small. Oh, it's making the text smaller. I think this is theme-based, being able to resize that.
Also, just a general rule of thumb, I think it's fair to never use drop caps unless you're a book publisher.
No, actually I use them for features,
Just
really long features, and people like it. I'm telling you, I got 3 emails from readers who said, oh, I love how that looks. So, but some themes you can change the size of this, others you can't. The theme I'm using now you can't.
We got a question from Kimmy. If we still have time, right? We got like 14 minutes.
Yeah.
She says, I still don't get the calendar embed. What calendar do you use, Krystal? And then what do you use tables for?
Well, so I use tables. I published a list of all the salaries of all the public employees in Princeton, which was not a very popular post with teachers and police. But, before I used to use like an Excel spreadsheet, and I'd convert it to a table, and then I had to have the table plugin, and the table was embedded as like one of these iframes, which is just not very pretty looking on your website. And so now, like, I use a table to insert like salary information, or let's say line item budget info for a budget story, and I just pull that table right in with the table block. It's great. But the calendar, I'm trying to think of a reason you'd want. So I use Modern Tribe Events calendar, and they're creating their own blocks for Gutenberg. Frankly, with Modern Tribe, so I feel like they're a little behind the curve on their Gutenberg version of the Modern Tribe calendar. So I still use the classic version of the Modern Tribe Events calendar. But meanwhile, they're trying to figure out how to make these nice blocks work for their calendar. But there might be instances where you want to add just like a regular calendar to your site that's not, maybe not your listings. Like, let's say you're talking about the month ahead. I'm not sure if it works like with Google calendars, things like that, because I haven't really tried that calendar. You can add categories. You can add your latest comments. Let me see. Oops. So I'm going to add something. Yeah, more, a page break, a spacer. So it's great with the spacer. I can take it and I can adjust how much space I want there with that. If I want a huge amount of space or a little bit. Yeah, all sorts of things you could do. I would just say play around with things. You can't break anything. I mean, if you really want to play around a lot before you feel comfortable, I don't know if your WordPress account allows you to have extra sites. I would just create a brand new site using the basic 2019 WordPress theme, and I would I would just play around with that so you're comfortable, break things, have fun. You can upload videos. I usually insert them from a URL. Now, if you just drop a URL into a blank block, it will automatically know it's a video URL, and then it will render the video. So, are there other questions?
The last question before we jump off, because I guess some people got to go to meetings and stuff like that, is are you going to have to go back and update all your older articles now that Gutenberg is the case, or is that sort of everything remains the same, or is it just the editor? What's that like?
No, as I said before, so old posts that are pre-Gutenberg, nothing changes with those. You can't do anything to them. What you'll notice is, I think I had, did I show a slide with that? To the right of the post, if you're on an old post pre-Gutenberg, the post will look exactly the same in the editor, and you'll see to the right there will be an option to convert to blocks. So if you want to update an old post and add a call to action or a gallery or something, you just say convert to blocks. It'll convert that old post to blocks, and you can add whatever you want. But if you don't do anything, it's just going to stay the same and remain perfectly fine. So you can't ruin anything, any of your posts from the past. None of them are going to be hurt by you adding Gutenberg.
Challenge accepted.
Yes.
Okay. I think that's going to just about wrap it up. Everybody is giving their thanks to you in the chat. So thank you, Krystal, very much. For those of you who stayed to the very end, thank you so much. For those of you who joined late, we'll be sharing the full recording of this webinar, as well as the transcript, the rough automatically generated transcript, and the notes and the text from the chat, as well as the PowerPoint slides, right, Krystal?
Yes.
Yes.
I'll get that to you right after.
Keep an eye out for that. I'll let you know, Krystal. I'll just send you the recording as soon as it's done processing.
Okay, great.
You can send out your email as well and copy me on that.
Okay,
Thanks.
great.
The next webinar, again, is September 10th, so go to centerforcooperativemedia.org/training to sign up, and we will see you then.
Yeah, and just email me if you have questions. I'm happy to help.
Bye-bye. Thanks, everybody.
Bye. Thanks.